Okay, we're ready.
Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. We shall.
Any questions? Oh, no, good.
All on. Welcome back, everyone. Moving to page 77.4, setting rates, 24-25.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This paper follows on from the adoption of the long-term plan and is a legislative requirement to agree to set the rates for the coming year. And this paper happens every year, whether it's an LTP or an annual plan. So I take it that it is read, but also to point out that all of this detail is also included in the body of the LTP in part 1 and is a legislative requirement. It's called the funding impact statement in part 1. So it's just absolutely mirrors it, but this is required for council legislative purposes. So this has also been reviewed by audit and past audit. So I will just take it as read. That's okay. We also confirm on the last page, going from 4 instalments to 3, and the date for those invoices and the date for payments due. And so my team will be looking forward to issuing the first instalment soon. Lots of ratepayers have been looking forward to receiving it. So this is just finalising the LTP.
Are there any questions for management on the paper? Moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councillor Della. All in favour? Aye. Against? One against. Councillor Aileen recorded.
Thank you.
Any abstentions? There being none, motion is carried. 10.5. Wairarapa Estate Limited, Craigie.
Several to the table to talk through this proposal.
Kia ora koutou. So this report is around the Wairarapa Estate Limited offering an Esplanade strip to Carterton District Council for the community. So they have the forest out Craigie Road, Te Whārau Road, as part of their agreements with the walking access commissioners. They will allow sections for walking access. So we've been working with them over the last couple of years, just going back and forth around what this looks like, what this means. We've taken done due diligence, and we've contacted our lawyers to find out and make sure that what we were doing was going to be okay for us. And we've talked to our insurance providers. This resulted in us making a few amendments to the clauses, which Forestry Enterprises on behalf of Wairarapa Estate have accepted. So this is the next step. We thought we'd put it to you and take any questions.
Questions on the table? Councillor Gallen.
I just looked at, I've got here, this could be one of the gifts that keeps giving. Are we going to put signage things out there as a cost there, and then you'll have no entry because of slips, and you'll have no entry because there's risk of forest fires, then you have to take signs down, travel out there, change them again. No, it's just around the corner.
No, it's not.
I just think and the insurance company saying, oh, no risk if someone chucks a cigarette butt there, we have a forest fire. It's all right, it's not a problem, you know. I just find it hard to believe, you know.
Yep. So in response to the first part of the question, the signage is all managed by Forestry Enterprises, or the forest managers in this instance. So that there does not sit with, and is not and won't be our responsibility. So they take care of all of that. They will advise us when they're opening, closing. If we choose to put that out on our social media, we can. In terms of the insurance, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
that was precisely the question I asked Councillor Gallen. So, we have an access track, somebody walks through there, flicks a cigarette butt and burns down a multi-million-dollar forest. The response was, we are not responsible for public actions, even though they are on a public site. So, for example, we're not responsible for the actions of the public on our public roads. And the same applies here. We have no intention of developing these access strips. They are at the bottom. They're often creeks or creek beds. There's often quite a lot of windfall or slash that has rolled down the hill, and access is incredibly difficult. At this stage, we've got no plans to develop it at all. And so it will be continually managed by Forest Enterprises or Wairarapa Estate Limited as they undertake forestry operations. I was precisely the same concerns you did when it came across my desk. It was like, whoa, this looks like liability, not asset. I've satisfied myself that that's not the case.
Councillor Ayling.
Yeah, my question was, there's a line here on page, 82, and it says Forest Enterprises does not currently maintain these areas, and there's no expectation council will either. And my question was, should Forest Enterprises be maintaining that, and actually they're not doing what they should be doing, and then we'd have to pick up the slack at some point? And my second question is, does Greater Wellington have any thoughts on this? It seems like it's sort of their realm of interest, and I'm worried that at some point they'll say, council, you own this land, sort it out, and we're responsible for cleaning out streams and whatnot.
Yeah, so the downhill has to take uphill water flow. So that's just under the Drainage Act. We've got to whatever's downhill must take, as long as it's not channeled and forced into a particular path, it's just natural flow. At this stage, the streams and creek beds have no requirement to be managed in a better process. That may change with forestry legislation, but I can't see it changing for council. They are just natural stream beds. So as long as we leave them natural, where we would need to get resource consent would be if we took machinery in there to do anything in the stream bed or change the course of the water. So at this stage, no, we won't have a requirement to do anything with it as long as it remains natural.
So if forestry slash was blocking the whole thing, we just don't do anything.
It's
Yeah.
how Gisborne has significant problems with forestry slash and waterways.
Okay.
Councillor Cherrican.
And on page 82 as well, and the discussion point on the second paragraph, they have also offered a similar opportunity to Masterton District Council. Do we know what Masterton District Council's position is? Opportunity that they've offered them?
Right off the top of my head, no.
So my understanding is that Masterton District Council have moved ahead with it.
Yeah.
They have made similar amendments to the clauses that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, and Forestry Enterprise shared those similar clause changes with
They
us.
have moved ahead with the opportunity. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Just supplementary to that, have they already addressed this paper prior to today and voted?
I'm not sure. I know they're moving ahead with this process, but I don't know.
It's been to council.
But they haven't made a decision as of yet. I've been caught before.
Sure, it's been taken to council. We will need to check. We are aware they're proceeding. Whether or not that was a decision of management or a decision of council, we're not sure. We need to check.
The only comment I'd make right at the beginning is said that this move is at the behest of the Overseas Investment Commission and Walking Access. So if we don't accept their gift, Who are they going to give it to?
So that's a really good question. You may recall John McFadden talked briefly at a number of meetings about forestry and forestry ownership and how it constantly changes hands. This forest is about to change hands.
Yes.
So if we aren't interested, then it's likely the new owner may go a different path. I'm not saying that we should do this, but I am conscious that part of the reason Wairarapa Estate are doing this is because it's a condition of their OAA and they want to complete that condition before they go through their sale process, I suspect.
What are they going to pay us?
That's a gift.
Keeps giving.
Yeah, well, yeah. Councillor Della?
Thank you, Muir. I just noticed in the report on page 84 that under Tanga Te Whenua, they have not had the opportunity to provide input yet. I think it's probably pretty important that we do involve them, mainly because it is a riverbed, a stream, and it is on their path that they used to walk from the coast to town, so to the valley. So I think it's pertinent that we do involve them and get their opinion probably before we make a decision. I think we need to delay this.
You're reading my notes, Councillor Della.
Oh, sorry.
Page
Didn't look very hard.
84. I will speak to that when it's my turn to speak, but any other
I'm
comments?
just following on from, because I've got that highlighted as well. Also, if there are such areas that are historic and significant resources, that will be part of the proposed Wairarapa combined district plan, also identified in the new sections there. Okay.
And I would ask for, since we only Kahukura Whiwhia is a little bit out of the patch, but your view would be valuable, Joel. The point that the thing that I would ask is, are there any known wahitapu sites up in that area that we would need to be aware of?
That's what I was referring to in the district and stuff that's been identified.
It's in the district plan.
A lot of those sites have been identified in the proposed district plan, which is what I was referring to.
We'd need an overlay.
I think it's quite like.
Yeah.
There are sites throughout the area and into the Tararua Ranges and that
Regularly.
there would be I guess wahitapu in places, areas of significance. I guess we'd have to have discussions around what works is intended, like the depth of the works that were intended, and I guess also the intensity of the I guess the cultural significance. Yeah, so that we would just need to have it'd be helpful to have ongoing discussions before things are finalised in areas.
And from that, fair to say that we take ownership of those issues as well?
Only if they are in the valley, in the stream. I wouldn't have thought they would be in the streams.
Yes, streams and waters could be, like Mangatarere.
Yeah.
Well, Mangatarere is a birthing stream.
Yeah.
I have no idea what there are in the way of sites of cultural significance or wahitapu sites up there. I'd have to go back into my treaty settlement books and have a look at that particular piece of land. But I think what the point is information.
A lot of the information, as I've said before, is included in the
District plan.
proposed district plan and probably the current one as well. Having had engagement with.
The Esplanade strip is 20 metres from the bank of either side of the river.
Yeah.
It's not just the river channel itself. And whether or not CDC accepts this proposal or doesn't accept this proposal, the accidental discovery protocols and any matters relating to wahitapu and tangata whenua would get addressed. If anything was unearthed, then there's that stop work as per primary legislation, and then the new district planners bring in rules in relation to earthwork for fencing and tracks and things like that would deal with that. So all of that would still be in place. Outside of whatever decision is made by CDC, but I did just want to make it clear that the Esplanade is 20 metres either side of the river.
Sorry, just one more, Bear. I'd say whatever you do or whatever the intentions are, just engage early.
Yeah.
Engage from the outset, and make sure that we engage. We can help to identify the right people to engage with. And yes, the wherever the river is or the awa is, but also the awa have moved over time. The awa, the amount of I guess the severity of the invasions from outside iwi into our area, the awa were used as escape routes, and a lot of our tipuna were killed along those.
That's right.
While trying to escape. So again, not trying to say don't do anything.
Yeah.
If we take anything from what I'm saying, just engage early, and we can help you to engage with the right people, whether it's myself, whether it's Hurunuarangi, or whether it's another group. Happy to support that.
Okay. Is there any others?
Glenda, just on page 83, I'm just wondering if we need to change a word that says unpredicted. That word be unpredictable. We're going to be adding some wording to it. So on page 83, you've got and unpredicted rises in the water level. Will that be better, unpredictable rises in the water level? I'm being picky, but
I can make the changes.
I'm just wondering at page 87, do we need to add a point F? There's a number of points listed there. If we're going to be going through with this, do we need to add a point F which says at any other time that in the opinion of the grantor or grantee conditions exist that require it? Because it's pretty particular in the A to E of what those points are. Does there need to be a point added there which allows for anything else that might be unforeseen?
Yep.
Are there any other questions, concerns? Those in favour?
So, I would move or an additional recommendation or that we consult with Tangata Whenua before any decisions are made.
I think we'd lock that down as a point of concern. You actually want to move that now, or
Well, my suggestion is
intention, you're signaling your intention. Yeah. I have a question on the option page 4084. There are 3 options, and yet in the recommendation, cut straight to the
I'm not
bone.
giving you the options.
You're not giving us any options.
Apologies.
So I guess I know what you want. The question is, what does the council want?
No, that's just an oversight on my behalf. Apologies. I normally give the options there.
Okay. So I then, on that statement, that is an error, will treat the recommendation, take the recommendation into the wording of para 5 and test the council's opinion or view, decision making on those options there. That's my intention. Is there any final questions, comments, observations? Well, I have my say.
What's the timeline for if this is changing hands? Do we have time to engage with?
My understanding is that forestry enterprises want to get this tidied up by the end of the year. So we've got a couple of months time there. Yeah.
If you're not ready to make a decision, then you've got all the time in the world.
Right, decision rests with us.
So, yeah, we've been working with them for a couple of years, so there's no rush in this process.
In relation to the tangata whenua engagement, it does actually state that forestry enterprises forest management plan, there is a commitment to engage. Are we as a council wanting to also engage, or are we talking about their commitment to engagement? I just think that probably needs clarifying, whether it's going to be them and us both engaging.
Well, they would engage to
jointly.
our satisfaction, presumably.
I just think that needs clarifying.
They're probably engaging on the whole expanse, whereas we've got 40-metre wide strip, so it might be a different.
I think so.
Well, at the end of the day, that area is part of a hapu, and the appropriate hapu will have an opinion. And the iwi will have an opinion because iwi, under the deed of settlement, have say on matters relating to waterways and catchments. And both iwi have made it both PSGs have made it very clear that that is their domain. So I guess we would have to have a degree of confidence in their engagement with tangata whenua, the appropriate. So what's clear is a lack of clarity. I tend to be in the same, just for what it's worth, same position that others. Beware people. What's the saying? Beware people bearing gifts.
The gift horse.
No, that's the opposite. Don't let the gift horse in the mouth, and there's the other one. Beware of people bearing gifts.
It was about Trojan horses.
True, yeah, that's exactly Helen of Troy. And I get it that. So I have a picture in my head, and help me, please. When they say they're going to take care of signaging, I'm assuming that's at points of entry and points of exit. That is not about signaging along the track. Take this route to go there and take that route to go there. This is a site of significance, and this is not. Who's putting that up?
So there is no track.
Along the Esplanade.
Yeah, they've just,
Yeah.
the signage will say there's the Esplanade here to 20 metres out. And you make your way. Yeah.
Okay.
Which then links on to a further Esplanade in the forest.
And so my other question is, so the lawyers did all this pro bono? They didn't charge?
Sorry.
Well, it says there's been no cost, only staff time.
Yep.
So, but we consulted lawyers.
I did consult lawyers and they didn't charge me.
They didn't charge you. Can we keep those lawyers? So
Can you got their name?
Can I have their name?
So no, I just want to be sure that it didn't seem.
They were doing other work for me at the time.
Okay. All right. All right. Then it's time to test the view of the council. So I'll deal with the first one. Someone like to move, we receive the report. Councillor Chair Campbell, seconded by Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. The second recommendation, I'll put it this way. We have three options. And so how do we do that? Agree with the proposed option, make further amendments to the Esplanade Strip Agreement, and do not accept the offer.
Put the ors
So-
in.
Sorry?
So put the or in between them. So agree to the proposal or.
Or, yeah. Or,
Or you could make a new resolution to hold the paper over until further engagement. Tangata whenua has been up.
yeah. And Councillor Della, I assume at this point you have a motion.
Yeah, it's just what Jeff said, hold the paper. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Reading over
Been
your shoulder.
reading my writing.
So Councillor Della's moved the paper be held over until we have
Further
further
engagement.
engagement. with Tangata Whenua.
Yeah.
Who's doing that engagement, Councillor Della? Is that Forestry Enterprises?
Or we could say either by Forest Enterprises or CDC.
Well, they do state that there is a commitment by them. So
Until we receive a report from them.
Yes.
We should probably do it.
If we're asking you to consider this, then we need to do the work
Yeah.
to satisfy your concerns.
Okay. Moved by councillor Dell. So, I'm looking for a second and then we'll go to discussion if we could. Joel, is that okay?
Yep.
So seconder? Deputy Mayor? Joel? Yes, please.
Sorry, Mayor. I was just going to say, whenever the engagement is with re-engagement with Hurunuiarangi, I just know that falls in with their hapu karanga, Mayor. So they would be the best people to be able to guide in terms of which hapu of theirs.
Is that not part of Ngāti
Kahu? To be honest, it'll be a stretch. One of the many hapu that fall in with Hurunuiarangi, hapu karanga. And I don't know who their trustee, if it's Jareth or not anymore.
I think yeah,
that would be my suggestion. But I'm happy to support the council to engage. Engagement.
Got it. Thank you, Joel. And I think note include the PSG of both Rangatani and because it's okay. So vote. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? That motion put by councillor Dell is passed. Thank you, Glenda. 7.6. Straight to.
Off the edge of the table.
On 7.2.
Thank you, Your Worship, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors. I just want to recognise Joel online. Kia ora, Joel. This is bail and supply alcohol. It's our Wairarapa local alcohol policy. It has been a huge undertaking, having started around the time of COVID, progressing through the protests at Parliament, which subsequently ended up delaying getting any feedback from police and also Ministry of Health in order to have had it adopted a couple of years ago, which was the intention. I would like to recognise Councillor Cherry Campbell and Deputy Mayor Craigie, who sit on the Wairarapa Policy Working Group, who have done a superb job getting this policy to where it is right now. I would just like to note a couple of minor amendments to the report. One of it is in the statement proposed on the submission form on page 70. The 4 options don't actually align with the options in the report. It's meant to be an option 1, adopt the proposal, and option 1A, adopt the proposal with amendments, and then meaning that option 2, retain the current policy, and option 3, revoke the policy, are consistent with what is in the report to council. That's a minor tweak on a submission form that can be done outside of this process, but I did just want to allude that to the elected members. You will also, if anybody did read the entire giant report, you will note that there is a paragraph in the report where it does talk about the background report as attachment 3. After writing this report and then realising the background report was an additional 64 pages, I considered that we wouldn't actually include that additional 64 pages of the background report, but we could summarise the key matters from that, which has meant that our agenda is 299 pages long, not 363. So what the main changes to the policy from our existing local alcohol policy is that there have been 5 amendments. Main one being an amendment to a sensitive site and including a definition and expanding that definition to encompass more things than just potentially schools. We have looked at the hours that off license, and bear in mind sensitive sites only in relation to an off license, such as bottle shops and supermarkets by off licenses. We've been looking at trading hours, and we have brought back the trading hours. They were currently 7 a.m. to
10 p.m.
10 p.m. and we have reduced them from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. for off licences that are bottle stores. We are still proposing to retain a 7 a.m. Purchase time for supermarkets due to the fact that supermarkets' primary focus is not the sale of alcohol. But if somebody's there early doing a grocery shop before they go to work, they might grab a bottle of wine to put in the fridge. The other one is there in terms of special licenses with 12 events per year. The operative policy talks about this in terms of one event per month for a special license. That wasn't working as well, so now they're including it as 12 events per year. But then there is a restriction on how many can be had within that 6-month period. So somebody, Club Carterton or any of our businesses or private function areas around the Wairarapa may end up having to apply for 3 special licenses within a 1-month period because of events that they've got on over summer or winter. And the policy as it's written would probably stop that if they can only do 1 per month. Also, a lot more restrictions on special licenses not being granted for events that are more focused on young people. So that makes sense when you consider that the purpose of the policy and the act is about alcohol reduction. And also special licenses, a bit of a discouragement from issuing special licenses for events that are driving or car related, because it seems a bit ironic to be promoting alcohol at an event where people may drive home. That was pretty much just the summary that I did want to touch on, and happy to answer some questions. And I'm sure that Councillor Cherry Campbell and Deputy Mayor Craigie will be able to assist me if I miss anything.
I'm sure you won't miss it.
Questions? Discussion?
I'd just like to make one point, and I've made this speech before. It's a 300-page agenda. There's, and Solly and I have had a little chat about this. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. We have another meeting tomorrow morning where we have another agenda. I've been at work every day since then. I normally don't work on Sundays, but clearly that's all day. So I'm going to abstain on this, just because I don't want someone running an off license somewhere to come along and say, how come you voted for that? And I haven't got the faintest idea what they're talking about.
It actually goes, can I?
Certainly.
So this is for us to adopt the draft LAP for the whole of the Wairarapa. It then goes out to public consultation. So the consultation opens on the 20th of September and closes on the 20th of October. So we're actually not voting to adopt this draft LAP at the moment, if that helps.
My position.
Joel?
Kia ora. Hey, I note in the report that it's 100 metres away from schools, ECEs and churches and whatnot. Is that the max, or is can that be extended at all? Is that open for discussion? I know that there's submissions open to, I think it's October 20, but that still seems close to me.
That's the minimum. That's what we've proposed in this to go up for consultation. And that is exactly the type of comments that we really want the feedback on. Is 100 metres appropriate, or should it be 500 metres, or what is a suitable figure that the community determines is an appropriate distance? So we would absolutely love as much feedback as we can on that.
Yeah, I would just say that for me, it doesn't sit well with me, particularly since that's the minimum. To have any, alcohol or vaping store anywhere near an ECE or school, or, even church, I just think is inappropriate myself.
Please put a submission in, Joel.
Yeah, I will. I just wanted, I thought I'd just saw it, and it shocks me that it's the minimum and it's suggested, but I'll put a submission in anyway. But I just thought that if we're meeting the minimum standard, when we know, look, I work for Oranga Tamariki, 90% of our stuff is as a direct relation of drugs and alcohol. So if we got drugs and alcohol stores so close to these, to our most vulnerable, which is kids, it's, to be honest, it's inappropriate. So like I said, I'll submit something, but I'm just shocked that it's the minimum put in there. That's all. Thank you.
That was definitely a rollover from the other policy, and
We've added more in sensitive sites.
Yeah.
haven't we? So we've increased the sensitive sites and what they are into this. But yeah, the 100 metres was from the existing LAP.
And that means they can't be any closer than 100 metres.
And it's for new.
and also bear in mind, anything that was to pop up in something like a residential zone, we could I'll use Southend School for an example, that's actually zoned residential. So anything that was an off licence would then trigger a district plan consenting process where you do your effects-based approach as well, in conjunction with the policy, because it couldn't set up there as a right. It's probably more around those commercial zones where these businesses can pop up with only the requirement potentially of a building consent if they're doing modifications, but they don't need that resource consenting. So it's more that protection within that commercial zone. Anything outside of that, where a lot of schools are located, would be a resource consent for that type of activity in that zone. So there's sort of there is another layer of protection as well, but totally would welcome a submission on that from yourself, Joel. That would be great.
Sorry, and just one more thing, because I didn't see it. Is there something in there in terms of maximum amount of alcohol
Maximum number
distribution centres
of
within a
outlets.
circumference of 1 kilometre? You know what I mean? Like there always seems to be a huddle of alcohol, vaping and pokie machines.
Maybe
and they pop up.
Sorry to interrupt, Joel. I actually did my DLC training yesterday. And so for any new licenses, if there was a new license for an off license, and it didn't trigger a resource consent, and it sort of was a couple of 100 metres, say, from sensitive site, that would normally raise a whole load of objections as well from the surrounding areas. So it would go to a hearing, and part of that also they would be looking at the number of say bottle shops, for example, off licenses in that area to a number of people. So there's kind of a ratio of number per population as well. So there's quite a few layers, and it's not just like, it's more than 100 metres away, you tick the box. So
I'm just saying it would be really good to have things in policy so they don't even they can't even get resource consent for. I mean, we're talking about alcohol shops, not a timber store down the road or dairy.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's where the Resource Management Act and the District Plan does actually have a really strong layer of protection also there too. But
okay, no worries. I'm sorry, I'm showing my conservative side.
Yeah,
I'll leave it
it's
for
really
submission.
good. And this is the kind of submission that we really, really want to get for this draft policy, because if we don't, then we're not hearing it. So it's really cool that you're sharing that with us during this council meeting as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And just to what I take from this is a Wairarapa document, which involves more than just council and getting to this point. Getting 3 councils and all of their representatives to agree on a single document to go to consultation is not an easy task. There are divergent views depending on where you are, and as the paper says, people's views in Martinborough, people's views in Greytown, because they have a different economy, which is tourist dependent, and they defend their licensing, their ability to license the way that they have down there. So I'd only take my hat off to those who Councillor Chair Campbell and to Councillor Cretney for the role they play in working all those people to get to this point. The consultations is where the people will have their say, and that's where I anticipate the challenges will come to adjusting the document again, depending on the numbers.
And can I just add
Yeah.
that South Wairarapa District Council adopted the policy to go for consultation on the 4th of September, and I just had confirmation Marsden District Council have adopted it without any changes.
Without
So it's a pretty good result of showing how an effective group the policy group is.
So without any further ado, could we proceed to deliberate? Is the council comfortable with taking these, and particularly from 1 to 5 as one resolution? I'm happy to do it either way.
Yeah.
Taking, I've heard 2 yeses. Yes. All comfortable? Okay, then I shall do that. Recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Could I have someone please move all 5? Councillor Cherry Campbell, seconded by Councillor Gallen. Straight to the vote. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Was it recorded, Councillor Lawrence?
Absolutely.
So recording Councillor Lawrence's abstention for the reason he stated. Motion's passed. The motions have passed. The next items, recommendation 6, delegates authority to the Chief Executive to approve minor edits that do not alter the intent of the content prior to publication. Someone to move, please.
Can I just ask a question on that?
Yes.
How do the minor edits work with 3 councils? If you want to make minor edits, does that have to go to the both other CEs?
It is a single document go out, so pretty much it'll be page numbering and things like that.
Change.
And your delegation manual also allows the CE to delegate some of that to the likes of myself and the other policy advisors. So you'll probably find it's actually not the CEs approving a full stop here or a comma there or a capitalisation. It will be the fact that there is some default delegations that the officers would tidy that up. The main one that we saw was one that I just wanted to flag to council in that document that will get changed.
Happy? Happy to move. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Ailing. All in favour? Aye. Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. 7 and 8 take as one. Someone to move, please. Councillor Della, seconded. Deputy Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you so much.
Your worship.
CE's report. See.
Your worship. So councillors will no doubt be feeling slightly tired right about now. A relatively long meeting. So what we've done with the CE's report, noting that we've got policy and projects coming up relatively soon, is slim down the report. So there will be more information on our building regulatory services and some of our major projects that will pop up in projects and policy. So I really just wanted to highlight in the CE report what a wonderful day Sunday was with Daffodil Day, and how the Middle Run Farm was just looking absolutely outstanding. Feedback from customers and community was great, and I know Plunkett and Ambulance are being very happy with the response. The only other thing I'd like to highlight in here, because I know you've all read it, is just that we did submit on the climate change adaptation legislation, and that submission is attached in here. You'll note that we made comment that Wairarapa is a predominantly rural community, and that there seems to be a lot of climate change adaptation requirement on our community, our rural community, that was coming from population growth. Happy to take questions.
Councillor Cherry Campbell.
I can't remember how many I've got on this, but I've got one up in front of me at the moment under infrastructure and regarding the speed management plan. And it's great that the technical report has been published. implementation of the plan is programmed to start in October. I've just had some ratepayers contact me asking if there's going to be any comms, Marcus, any comms going out to the ratepayers as that will be started.
As we change things, the comms will go out, particularly to affected residents. So Lincoln Road, Dalefield Road is a really good example where we've got the 70km/h zone dropping down to a 50km/h zone. So we will be communicating that as we roll it out. We will do that slowly as and when we get signs, as when the team have time and we're able to. We were also sort of waiting for a budget and a long-term plan in order to start that investment.
Thank you.
Other question?
I have one question regarding Daffodil Day. Who organised that clip on the news? Because that was genius.
Well done. That'll be our comms team who interviewed the mayor, and it was, well done to the CDC comms team. Right, Sarah.
Well, that's $100,000 worth of advertising, right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I've just got a comment after Daffodil Day, being involved with the Lions. We more than happy the way things went, and really good team of council staff around us, helping and helping maintain law and order amongst all the site holders. But we had friends come up on the steam train from Wellington, and they were just blown away with the steam train and getting off the train, walking up Broadway with all the boxes and the great flowers, daffodils and whatever was growing, and really struck a chord with the people on the train. So shout out to all the people involved in that, and really well done. So
the Parks team did a fantastic,
great initiative.
Beautiful.
Councillor.
I was going to say the exact same thing as Brian. I know I'm usually the Grinch when it comes to spending, but I think those boxes look fantastic. I think town looked beautiful. The lawn mowing was perfect. The hanging baskets were perfect. It really looked spectacular. And the speed at which it was all packed away afterwards was amazing. I couldn't believe all of a sudden town was clear again and the road was back open. So it was a great day.
You might have an observation to make on that.
It seems
Jonathan, who came before and presented to the public forum, was as disorganised as you could possibly imagine. So I ended up packing him down as well as a couple of other people. The challenge, I think, for Lions for next year will just be about getting that road open again in a timely manner. We were 40 minutes late, and that may end up with cost from Waka Kotahi being late opening that road. So we may have to just communicate the pack down time a little bit more.
And might I suggest, rather than leaving it to Lions to be the policeman and enforcer, that site agreements should have a very clear statement. And when stall owners sign up, they accept the responsibility.
Those site agreements are with Lions.
Well, then
They are explicit.
Yeah.
and
You do get people that want to negotiate.
It's a great day,
We end
and
up
we're not
with-
going to focus on them.
So we end up with a $7,000 bill we pay because of the delay in reopening.
Hopefully we won't. Let's be positive.
Well, yeah, we are. So my only question is around the second emission reduction plan submission. Whilst I acknowledge that there are some comments in there that reflect some of the concerns of our rural community, my question is, are we poking the government bear?
What are we talking about, Ron? Sorry.
The submission we made to New Zealand's second emissions reduction plan. I don't know how many of you read the exact wording of that submission. Interesting that we would challenge and criticise the government outright as a council.
I don't think that the tone of that submission was all that, not that I'm in the government, but I don't think that's at variance to some of the rural constituencies that they hold.
I think this, I guess my question is to be twofold, is that the view of the council? I'm not asking for a decision here, I just want you to reflect on that. Are we comfortable with that view? The second point is I'm not sure that we ran this past the Rural Advisory Group. Or did we? No. So just a reflection. Going forward, the submission's been made, it's done, it's out there. But I'm looking forward to Rural Advisory Group having an opportunity to talk to this thing.
I've just got a question for Councillor Lawrence. How come you found this more interesting than reading the local alcohol policy?
Says the man.
Yes, pages of the submission.
Much shorter. It was attached to the CE's report. You had to pay.
If I could comment, the comments made here were consistent with the Ruamahanga climate change strategy, which council has adopted. So it's
politically the scenario has changed, and the government has changed its policy directions. Yeah. And so therefore, when you read this, whilst it was in line with the previous government, I just point out that it's not necessarily in line with the current government. So, just bear those things in mind. It's like wearing a red T-shirt on stage in front of the Prime Minister and chastising him and going to him and asking for a regional deal. One questions the sensibility of doing such things. But, hey, push back in it. So we have the report from the CE, and I'm just moving forward to page 184. If there are no further questions, someone like to move the report? Councillor Ayling, seconded by Councillor Dalla. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Moving to 7.8, so on page 189. Look, I'm going to ask that this paper be set aside, and the reason being that I think it is the intent there. But I am well aware that there are members of the council and from particularly Audit and Risk who have asked consistently for a workshop on this matter. The intent of the paper is in line with where we're going. But I also think that there's some issues in there around consequences. It's one thing to give you all a big wad of paper to read from the Auditor General's Office of the Auditor General. But I think we should think points that we might wish to discuss and workshop before we finally deliberate. This is an important paper. It is the direction that we want to go. The CE has produced this, but I had asked the Chair of Risk and Assurance, and I know we have expressed this view time and time again, that we have a workshop to discuss this very formation of this committee so we could understand more completely from other councils what's working, what isn't working. Just reading the paper doesn't give you that same live view. So I just ask that be set aside. Moving to 7.9, and we will bring it back on conversation about a workshop time on.
Do we need to vote that it's moved aside?
No, I think.
Are there any issues in timing?
Nothing.
The Risk and Assurance Committee is scheduled to hold my performance appraisal tomorrow. So that'll be another year before, assuming there's no performance issues, it'll be some time before the committee will need to meet.
Okay. So 7.9 on page 277, updated membership of council committees, all taken as read. Everyone comfortable? Do you need to have any explanation from them?
I'm happy to speak to the paper if there are.
Thank you. We're comfortable? Straight to the vote? Okay, we have two recommendations: endorse the amendments to the Membership Investment Committee, confirms the appointment of Marty Seber as independent. Can I take those both as one?
Oh, there's an and or in there somewhere, isn't there?
As or voting non. I will do them separately. Thank you. It was highlighted so that I would remember, but it's not. Take the first recommendation. Someone move.
I'll move that.
Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Confirms the appointment of Marty Seba as an independent voting, non-voting member on the Christian. I propose that that be voting.
I just have a question. I think Marty's fantastic on the risk and assurance, but for consistency, he doesn't vote in risk and assurance, does he? He does vote.
does,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
I was making sure it was the same for both.
So I'm looking for guidance from the table as to where you sit. Let's have a discussion. I want to get a sense of whether we're going to be moving to a motion of voting or non-voting.
Voting.
You happy to move that way?
Yeah.
Councillor Lawrence has moved that confirm the appointment of Marty Seba as an independent voting member of the investment committee. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Della. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Any abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you. 7.10, updated mileage allowance Remuneration Authority. Any explanations needed?
Straight from the Remuneration
Here she
Authority.
is. Superwoman to the table.
Essentially, the previous rate didn't match the current IRD rate. So the Remuneration Authority have brought that up to date to match IRD. We get more.
Any backdating?
Have an occasion.
4 o'clock.
Someone care to move? Please, the resolution as stated. Deputy Mayor, seconded. Councillor Aileen. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. 7.11 over the page on page 280. Service requests and complaints. The floor is.
I think they pretty much speak for themselves. That's the regular update of the number of the service requests and complaints. There's a couple of, and there's one interesting one in the complaints, but yeah. The Lagoimas haven't sort of, they've slowed down a bit too.
It's paper.
Oh, sorry. Using service
Complaints?
Council will know when we produce the annual report, our service requests, I've made a comment in start of the annual report around the number of service requests, which roughly have increased roughly by 40% year upon year. And it's partially due to the way we're recording them and reporting them, and partially due to the workload that the team's undertaking. But yeah, the last fiscal year, approximately 1,400 service requests received, 1,298, if my number remembers rightly, completed. So that's a lot of BAU work that's happening behind the scenes as well.
The increase is probably because I know now how to do it. So when anybody complains to me, I say, you just go to the list.
And they're getting done. Thanks to the team.
Councillor Della.
Question, Jeff, that I see as of 9th of September, there's still 84 requests open. Are they, I presume, mostly weather affected requests that we will.
The vast majority of them are roading requests.
Yeah.
So we would probably have maybe half a dozen requests outside of roading, but the vast majority of them will be, things that we're getting to with roading. Okay, cool.
Councillor.
Just with regards to the delay in our long-term plan and the rates adoption, does that fit into, I can't see where that would fit in here. Do we have a tally of how busy your team have been with that kind of business?
You mean in terms of service requests around the delay?
That doesn't come through service, it's just the front desk.
It's front desk and it's hard to measure.
Yeah.
And each person, and there's lots of phone calls, so some emails, but generally it's in person reception. So no, we haven't measured that.
Because in terms of us not doing a survey, I just wonder if that information would be helpful when we do our annual report. Maybe next year.
So I just want to, can I just mention there's some interesting ones in here. The last one.
Talking about the complaint
Yes.
with the word.
Well, the toilet tax as such.
Yes, quite.
I know that we've talked about this before, and I think just to remind the community that schools actually receive funding to cover their toilets, the excess toilets that they have. So the fact that council charges for them, it's not actually on the schools as such. Because it is funded for separately. So,
And some complaints don't necessarily require a response. That case.
I would also note that council was charging schools for toilets and ban taxes last year and continues to do so this year, whereas South Wairarapa changed their charging methodology for schools. So they moved from land value to capital value and added a SUIP and added a pan tax. So there was a significant change between last year and this year with other councils, which is what caused quite a lot of issue. But as you say, if most schools in Carterton have funding for this because it is an ongoing recurring expense.
Councillor Lawrence.
Just in red, S7 parenthesis 2 parenthesis A. What's that?
So that is the section of the Local Government Information Act that allows us to redact. So it may be a reference to a name,
Okay.
or a person or a company, but there are a couple of clauses under Section 7 of the Local Government Official Information Act that allow us to withhold information, and we are withholding information under clause 2A.
Okay. So it's not just one person with that strange name.
It's just like Prince when his name changes to a note.
legal. Is that what the last person did when they?
Not quite.
Okay, right. Are there any other points, observations, questions of anyone? No. I'd like to move a received report, please. Seconded, councillor Gallen. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? It's carried. 712, local government OIAs.
Again, just a report on the number. They've dropped off a bit actually the last couple of months. So, yeah,
What do
that's
we have to do to improve that?
So you, unofficially, this is it's a very subjective way, but it is a way to measure transparency. And it can be skewed if we have an issue, development that may create the community's interest, similar to what Greytown had with Fresh Choice. We may get a whole lot of look-over requests, but it is a really good way of measuring the community's view of our transparency with them on key issues.
And
the trend, at least.
Should have asked that other question, but a bit too late. Any questions? Yes, councillor Eiling.
I just have a question in regards to our local MP. Is it commonplace for the MP's office to converse via OIA to council office?
Not normally via OIA, but when I've got a request from the local MP that I think is of public interest, I will put it through as an OIA because it's published on our website.
Right, no, that makes sense. It just seemed quite a formal way for them to be communicating with us.
Yeah, we don't normally communicate that way, but in this case, there was public interest, so it was worthwhile.
So you, as the CE, have the ability to ascertain an email as being worthy of considering as a legitimate
request.
Any request in such a manner, and hence the decision. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lawrence.
So the third request dated the 30th of July, which took no working days to respond. Is that because you went back and said, we can't answer that? Which I don't see how you could.
what page?
Give us a moment.
290.
Yeah, 290. It says the list from the past 12 months of all formal council meetings.
Yes, I can answer that. We delegated, because that request came to all the Wairarapa councils, in fact, all the Wellington councils, we delegated to Masterton District Council to answer that on the behalf of all Wairarapa Oh,
We can't answer that.
we copied pasted their response. Because we were given all the same invites as Masterton were. Very efficient, wasn't it?
Very.
Tuesday, right.
98, 39. Stage. All right, we've got no further questions, comments? Deputy Mayor? Happy to move. Moved that we received the report by Deputy Mayor looking for a second. Once, twice, Councillor Lawrence. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. 713 on page 292. Correspondence.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So you may be aware New Zealand Cycle Classic has decided they've been unable to find a major sponsor, so they have decided to not hold the New Zealand Cycle Classic next year. As part of that, they have written to us and thanked us for our participation in previous years. And that is just worthwhile noting, so I've included it here as correspondence.
It's not quite what he said when he came
Not
along.
quite what he said. The letter's much nicer.
Sadly.
Peter's bill.
Letter that's.
He's settled down.
The challenges, the stress of running a major event and struggling to get resources to do so.
So is he in good standing with council?
I don't think there is an outstanding bill.
We'll check that.
Thank you.
I think
Average
the
state.
cycling man, I can't, yeah.
Right, so would someone care to move? Moved by Councillor Alien, seconded by Councillor Young. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried. Going to public excluded. Someone care to move that we public excluded? Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Carried. 8.1.